Hi everyone, Teddy Baldassarre with TeddyBaldassarre.com. In this video, we're going to be looking at a watch from NOMOS with their NOMOS Metro Power Reserve. So in this video, full in-depth review of this timepiece at the end, things to consider, who is this watch for, who is it maybe not for, and also relevant link in the description on where to purchase this watch from TeddyBaldassarre.com, as well as some more information on this timepiece. Guys, let's jump into the video, take a closer look at this watch. All right, to begin here, looking at the case size, 37 millimeters, thickness of 7.7 millimeters, lug to lug of 42.5 millimeters, lug width of 18 millimeters, water resistance of 30 meters, crystal is sapphire, movement manual DUW 4401 from NOMOS, and then for price, $3,780. But if you use promo code METRO at checkout, you can get a free strap with your purchase at TeddyBaldassarre.com. TeddyBaldassarre.com, full authorized dealer of NOMOS watches. All the products come with a multi-year warranty, quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer service, and 9 out of every $10 that we generate goes right back into this content that we're creating. Now, as crazy as this might seem, few brands exemplify their own unique design in watchmaking that they can exclusively say is their own, quite like NOMOS Glashütte, with much of the brand's catalog taking prominent influence from the Deutsche Werkbund and the Bauhaus School of Design. When thinking of watches of this context and also being a bit more avant-garde in terms of their approach, it's difficult to not think of NOMOS with their Tangente, the Orion, the Tetra, or the Ludwig, among many others. However, one of the most unique yet undervalued offerings in NOMOS' catalog has to be the Metro collection, a line first introduced in 2014. Now, designed with collaboration from independent designer Mark Braun in the first half of last decade, the model is one of NOMOS' probably best examples of ability to converge contemporary design style with advanced horological chops for the money. Now, as we take a closer look at this watch, coming first with the wearability, we come to a modestly sized steel case featuring a diameter of 37 millimeters, thickness of 7.7 millimeters, and a lug-to-lug of 42 millimeters. Now, as a result of its thin case structure and manual movement, the watch sits very close to the wrist, being exceptionally light in its wear. Its wired lug design, as well as its nearly non-existent bezel, does still offer a bit of presence, leading to the piece wearing closer to that of a 38 with that type of optical illusion type effect that it's going to provide. This all considered, the watch is still relatively small and works great for both men and women, being a comfortable fit for almost any wrist size out there. The comfort of the watch is assisted by the wire shape of its lugs alongside the slightly rounded design of the model's caseback, which together in tandem work to center the weight of the watch and help it sit a bit more securely on the wrist. The aforementioned lugs at 18 millimeters in their width of the Metro connect to a Horween genuine shell Cordovan strap via quick release spring bars, these providing additional utility that one might not expect for lugs of this uncommon wire look. Speaking more to the actual strap, the Horween leather is often a favorite among many people out there, and for good reason, providing a smooth, thick, and clean look for its highly durable construction. The application of the material here by NOMOS only works to add value to an overall presentation of the timepiece. The strap itself is secured to the wrist via a relatively simple pin buckle system, and as mentioned, feels smooth and comfortable to the touch. And as someone who has actually owned one of these NOMOS straps for quite some time, actually for going on 5 years now, it's still in the rotation and looks fantastic after wearing it in for quite some time. The only thing I would say for a negative is the strap is quite long, and the holes within the strap might not be as accommodating to smaller wrists out there. So if you are on the shorter end of things, I would recommend swapping it out for a third-party strap or punch the holes in yourself if you're not brave, but definitely take advantage of that promo, as mentioned before, Metro at checkout. Just add the watch, add the strap to your cart, you'll be good to go. Coming back to the case, it's coming in a refined polish throughout its sleek design, with NOMOS' signed and stylized crown being the only element to add some contrast to the finishing in its knurled style look on the outer side of it. Now, the crown in its first position is used to wind the manual caliber and will bring to life the distinct power reserve indicator into action located at the 1 o'clock. As you rotate the crown, you'll notice the activation of this power reserve indicator that features 3 colored discs featuring gear teeth that will rotate around, with the top green disc featuring a cut aperture to show the red disc underneath when the reserve is running low on charge. When fully wound, the red will then disappear from the exposed section of the top green disc, and simply put, this is probably one of the most unique power reserve executions that you're going to find in the market, and also just so on brand when looking at NOMOS. For the second position, it's a little bit more uneventful, but then you can adjust the time, of course, while stopping the second hand in the process, so hacking seconds here, and can actually set the date through an old-fashioned back and forth of the hands from 9 p.m. to going just past midnight, going back and forth. Taking a closer look at the other dial elements beneath the dome sapphire crystal here, and it is heavily domed, definitely want to stress that. It offers kind of a more vintage acrylic style look with its execution. We come to a white silver plated dial, the design featuring a galvanized effect and providing a slight textured background to the minimalist aspects resting upon it. Now looking at the outer edge, we come to a simple minute track with small numerals set within every 5 minutes and a corresponding printed dot indicating the hour next to that, with black markers at the majority and green dots at each quarter marker. At the 6 o'clock, the watch features a sloped outline date window, a small seconds right above with a small red-orange indicator, and the printing of NOMOS Glasuta at the 9 to give way to the previously mentioned power reserve indicator at the top of the dial. Lastly, at the center of the watch, we come to 2 oxidized black syringe hands, which NOMOS calls quill tip. They are done with very thin execution that still offer great legibility off that silver white dial surface underneath. Now, one important detail of note here on the dial is it doesn't actually feature any lume among its various aspects, and practically speaking, reading time in the dark is for most people a relatively rare occurrence, but the lack of lume may be a detractor for some. However, given that this is far from what I would classify as a sporty timepiece, I don't see much harm here as the dial offers a unique experience in line with the NOMOS design ethos. Now, I'll be the first to admit that NOMOS designs are not going to be for everybody, but one area that I think collectively most people will tend to agree, as long as they have some type of awareness and appreciation for horology and watchmaking, will be what NOMOS has done in a very short period of time since their launch of the brand in 1990 in developing their own series of in-house calibers and what they've done from an engineering front to even develop their own escapements and their own parts in-house. It really is an impressive feat for a young brand like this. And when flipping this watch over through that sapphire exhibition caseback, we see a glimpse of one of these calibers with their manual in-house DUW 4401. Now, this manual wound movement was initially unveiled back in 2014 alongside the launch of the Metro collection and was significant at the time as being NOMOS' first caliber to feature their proprietary escapement, the NOMOS swing system. Now, the development of this technology at the time was not only a serious engineering accomplishment for the brand, but it furthermore allowed NOMOS to stop buying third-party escapements and movements altogether in favor of their own in-house mechanisms when starting to get into the higher price ranges, where this one's occupying between that $3,000 to $4,000 price range. In addition, this movement also features 2 other patented mechanisms within, with the date wheel as well as the can't miss power reserve indicator that we already talked about. 2 other specifications with the movement here that you're going to feel in terms of this watch and its presence is that it has a diameter of 32.1 millimeters, how you'll see this outside steel polish ring along the case back, so it's not going to fill up the entire case, and also with a thickness of just 2.8 millimeters, making this one again wear very thin on the wrist. The caliber from the finishing perspective is no slouch either, as NOMOS is probably one of the leaders in the price range of, say, under $5,000 in finishing on their movements. It is finished complete with tempered blued screws, rhodium-plated surfaces with Glasuta ribbing, NOMOS' perlage, and Glasuta sunbursts on the ratchet and crown wheels. And just to summarize, 21,600 vibrations per hour or 3 hertz for the beat rate here, hacking and hand winding, so hacking stopping that second hand when pulling out the crown to the farthest position, and power reserve of 42 hours. All right, so now to unpack this NOMOS Metro Power Reserve. Now, as mentioned just previously, NOMOS is going to be a brand from a design perspective that is not going to be to everybody's taste. And also a watch like this as well is kind of falling in this middle ground of maybe being a bit uncertain about what it's trying to go for. 30 meters of water resistance might not be enough for some people, but I think once you start to crack the code of NOMOS and what they're all about, there's a lot here that, for the right individual, there's a lot to like. From a design perspective, there's nothing really that you're going to see here before, with the use of that power reserve indicator that is pretty much unlike anything else that you're going to find in the market, especially in this price range. The syringe-style hands, which are rather unique in their execution, and the layout of the entire dial with its fun use of color, and then flipping the watch over and seeing a beautiful movement on the flip side, featuring patented technology from NOMOS, their own in-house escapement, and being constructed and regulated in-house. But in a world where everybody's gravitating towards the same pieces over and over again, I think there's more of a call to try to find something that's unique, and also I think try to also fall in line with this idea of value. And if you're looking for something, say, from checking off the boxes standpoint of some real horology taking place from the watchmaking perspective and getting something that is very much its own design, I think NOMOS has a great example of that with the Metro collection and looking at this Power Reserve version specifically as being a home run. All right, guys, well, thank you again so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. That really does help the channel. Also, if you're in the market for this watch, link in the description down below, teddybaldassarre.com, full authorized dealer of all the brands we carry, full factory warranty. So if something goes wrong, you're not having to pay the bill for it. Also, dedicated customer support based here in the US. Also offer price match. So if you see one of our watches at another authorized dealer for cheaper, fill out the form on the product page and we'll reach out to you. And finally, 9 out of every $10 that we generate from our store goes right back into the content that we're creating. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I'll see you all very soon.